Hey, and welcome to this week's webinar. Need a better term than webinar, something like a mini boot camp or a master class. Let's go with master class. This week's master class, I really believe this is a mastery class simply because this is how you build big practices, businesses, and there's no other way around it. And you can argue with me, you would just be wrong because what's happening now is in the advent of Google and Facebook and TikTok, that it's just seemingly a lot easier to try to build your whatever you're building. In this case, we're focusing on chiropractic clinics virtually. And the problem with anything virtually is one, the skill set. So generally we're outsourcing that. So we're paying somebody a lot of money who is a vendor and really doesn't care that much about your practice. I do have a lot of multi-unit clinics that I manage where we've got our own person who is our own social media marketing agent who works for the company. So 24/7, 365, they're checking all the social media accounts, they're tweaking ads and making sure to maximize the result of those campaigns because the only business they have is the one they're working for. A vendor has dozens of people, they're hoping hundreds that they're doing this for. So they put very little effort into any one person's campaign. So by the nature of a vendor, it can only go so well, certainly significantly below what it would go if the person worked directly for you. Plus for the actual employees that do social media for any particular clinic, we do a lot of training and development, so they're getting better and better at it. They're staying on the cutting edge of what's happening in social media and Google marketing today. I've spent millions and millions without exaggeration on vendors, and it's always somewhat disappointing. So what we're talking about today is something sustainable, something under your control, and something that doesn't just help you today, but helps you forever. And in helping you forever, it makes your life easier forever. Your life gets better forever. And it's also not going to go up and down because it's Christmas or because there's a presidential election going on, which are things that always will impact social media. And so what this is called is community-based marketing is the way I would put it. And these are the relationships that we establish. Again, it's really been criminal. It's really been a problem that in the advent of the day of more online passive marketing, that we've lost our connection to the community. And one absolute rule, and I could tell you as somebody who's getting their PhD in business administration, it's an absolute rule, it's a law, that the success of any business is directly tied to the relationship the leader of that business has with the other leaders in the community. So if you cut yourself off as a leader from the rest of the community because you'd rather just run Google ads, then while those ads may work some months again better than others, or even work great, your future is at big risk. There's going to be very little that's sustainable that you can count on. You're really putting a low ceiling on your growth because of the fact that you don't have those relationships. So we're going to talk about those right now. And I want you to understand first of all, the Law of Parlay. If you ever watched Captain Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean, they captured Captain Jack and they're about to shoot him. He says, I invoke the law of parlay. This is a different law than what I'm talking about. And that means if somebody wants to meet with your captain to negotiate, you can't murder them on the spot. So he leveraged that particular law of parlay, I think spelled with an E or EY instead of AY, like we're talking about, to save his life. And then, of course, as he would get away, he'd say, this will always be the day that you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow. So as we move on to parlay, P-R-L-A-Y, this is the idea that everything we do needs to turn into many other things, many other opportunities. I'll explain how that works. So my goal is always to make your life easier. So it sounds like when I'm saying you can't just rely on passive marketing through social media to build your practice, it sounds like I'm making your life harder. But I'm actually doing the opposite. With social media, every month you have to dig up and invest in your next group of new people, as you would do in any type of marketing, unless you parlay things. So for me, you've absolutely broken a critical law of engagement if every event you do, every interaction you have is not done with the intention of creating multiple other events, opportunities, interactions, leads, etc. So I never go into one thing without thinking about the next. At a high level, the structure behind this is a marketing calendar. So in my marketing calendar, I've committed, and you can decide what your commitments are, and you do need to make these commitments. I've committed to one event outside in the community every week. So that's 52 events. And I want to fill up 10 to 12 events inside my clinic every single year, internal events. So that's quite a bit. That's 62, 64 events a year. So that's why I want to parlay things, because if I do one event, if I do a PAD and it's not parlayed into other events, I've still got all these other events I need to do. I've got to fill up all these other internal events. I got 12 of these things to fill up. If I don't use the one I'm doing to parlay it into filling up the next, then once again, life is a lot harder. I go to do the next event, whether it's a dinner, PAD, CAD, talk of some kind. I'm starting from zero, got to grind my way up to 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 people coming to the event. That's really hard, but not by parlaying. So for example, something that we've been teaching, actually Dr. Eric and I have been teaching this for years, is something we call the triple promo. And we would actually do is we would create events always within 10 days of each other. And so we would do a dinner, talk, PAD. And those are actually in order of the difficulty in filling them up. We've always found it easier to fill up a dinner. So do the dinner, and of course, closing with parlay. How do I lead up to, through my content, to a point where when I say all of you and your referrals need to come to the talk, that they're going to fill out those lead sheets and they're going to sign up themselves. So I'm using the dinner, I'm parlaying the dinner into packing out a talk. Then I do the same thing at the talk. 10 days later, we have the talk. Some people do it just even 1 week later, but 10 days to stretch it out a little bit, depending on your bandwidth and how many new ones you got to process from your dinner. Then you go into this next event. You're already loaded up. You're just calling people to confirm that they'll show up, and you present, of course you promote it in other ways too. So you fill up that talk, and then you lead up through that talk to parlay that into the PAD. So everything parlays to fill up the next event. So I fill up my PAD at the talk. And then even in my patient conversion, we have something called a day 3, which so after you've converted day 1, day 2, you're converted. You come back for day 3, we parlay that into more patients. Because again, it's like a war crime to see one person and not have parlayed that into more, because then I've got a non-exponential clinic. I'm trying to win by addition, and addition is slow. I win by multiplication. One person has to turn into multiple people, because when you multiply, you get there a lot faster than by addition. You've made your careers harder because you're not parlaying events and people into way more events and opportunities and more people. So when I go to any events, let's say I'm going to speak at a church. So a lot of you have who are in Christ-centered chiropractic have gotten good at speaking in churches. So if I'm speaking at church, remember, I've got 52 outside events I get to fill up. No way am I speaking at that church and talking with whoever's helped me set up the church talk and not discussing the idea of wellness ministry, where we're doing 2, 3, 4, 6 events at the church, so that let's say I'm doing 6 a year, that takes the 52 I need down to only 46. I do not want to scrape and claw to try to figure out one by one how to fill up 52 weeks. I'm looking for 2s and 3s and 4s, 5s and 6s or more. So there's multiple events coming out of one. I love when a gym says, hey, you can come in here every month. So 12 times this year you can screen. Thank God it's not 52 anymore, it's 40. That's again, this idea of parlaying. So I'm always going to have a discussion more about what really works when it comes to wellness, creating partnerships, wellness ministry, being the wellness arm of your gym or your business, so that we're talking about the annual relationship and all the things we can parlay the relationship into, not just the one event. Now, one of the things I share, and I'm not sure how how often people believe me. But our issue was always, when I was in full-time practice for a couple of decades, keeping the number of new patients to a number we can handle. What would happen is, and you should, if you're somebody who sees a ton of new patients, you'll have to address this at some point in your life. But we found that if we saw 200 new patients or even 150 new patients in a month, our volume went down. And the reason is it tilted the whole practice towards dealing with all these new people and getting them through. And it took our attention too far away from our existing patient base. But we found that at 25 new a week, we would grow, aggressively, because we could retain our people well, as much as the fact that we would have a high conversion rate on the 100. So we do like 200 new patients, conversion rate drops off, people would be leaving, we'd be exhausted, stressed, and smaller than we were. But at 25 a week, that we just kept spiking up and up and up, just kept growing and get all the way through 2000. The point at 2000, I said, well, we could go to 3,000. That sounds a little rough. I know Dr. Rob does 3,000. I'm not sure we wanted to do 3,000. So we had to cap our new patient numbers lower. So we've always had too many new patients. I've never had an issue where I didn't have enough new patients. And it's simply because of what I'm sharing now. And everything we're talking about is not impacted by ups and downs in social media. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. And you didn't ever run into this issue where my vendor is not paying attention to me despite all the money I'm shelling out for vendor fees and ads. This always works. To kind of help bring this home, I want to give you a couple real life examples. So one of the things we do is what we call a community appreciation day. And the whole idea of that is, once again, you're leveraging relationships. So all this is relationship based, community relationship marketing, CRM. In fact, in one of my companies, we call the marketing people CRMs, community relationship marketers. And so we're doing in one of the clinics I just opened, we opened up a clinic in Omaha, Nebraska. And the doctor there did a phenomenal job at creating 50 partners prior to opening, which is always our goal when I open up a new practice. And so rather than doing a grand opening, we do what's called a CAD, a Community Appreciation Day, instead of a PAD. And in doing so, we leverage the marketing through partners. So we'll go to like a church, we'll go to a health food store, we'll go to a supermarket, we'll go to a restaurant, a coffee shop, we'll go to a martial arts studio, and a gym. And we'll say, for example, to the gym, hey, if you'll give us passes for a 3-day membership, we're going to promote your business through our grand opening or through our event, so that if people come in with, for example, if we're doing on behalf of a food drive, if they come in with 5 cans of food for the food drive, they're going to get a free first visit in our office, and they're going to get a 3-day pass for your gym. All we're asking you to do is to help us promote the event, pass out the flyers, let us come in and do a table and screen and talk about the event once a week leading up to the event. So if we're 2-week lead time, let us come in a couple of times. She'll help us promote it, and we're going to blow it out there, and you're going to get access to. So like the church who's going to be sending in people, they'll get a 3-day pass and end up in your gym. So you're going to get access to the church, the health food store, the dentist, the martial arts studio, the coffee shop, the restaurant. Everybody involved with the promotion is going to end up at your gym, including our patients that come in. I'll go to the restaurant and say, hey, what's your typical coupon? Oh, we give 10% off. Okay, well, everyone that comes in with their 5 cans of food, they're going to get 10% off. You're doing a good deed, great PR in the community, and they're going to get 10% off. But if they're going to show up in your restaurant and give you money and come in with their family, but in exchange, we need you to promote the event. Let us come talk to your staff. Let us help us promote this thing. So we blast it out there, and we do this with all of our partners. So we have this whole event. Everybody benefits. We raise truckloads of food, but to get all the coupons and gift certificates and the free visit, you have to come to our office with the food. We load up the pickup trucks with the food. We get it in the paper. It becomes a phenomenal PR event. Obviously, lots of great pictures and videos for social media. And then, it's an amazing day. There's almost no way to do that and not have multiple double-digit new patients. We always had a goal of 52 new patients, was about as many as we could handle in one day. Some days it blew up so much and we'd get to in the 70s, we'd turn it into a couple of days. But here's the thing, back to parlay, back to the law of parlay, is that I wanted to make sure that those relationships were sustainable. So everyone who did this with us would be really impressed that we pulled off this event. They're going to see the results in new people walking in their doors, and that we would discuss from the very beginning, hey, this is just the start of a beautiful friendship. We plan to do this all throughout the year, these big events on behalf of charities where we blow it up and get us all hundreds of new people. Let's do this together. And eventually through these relationships, the owners of those businesses, the managers, the employees, they become patients too. And these become the people you do life and business with. And so this is what we talk about when we mean an easier, better future. And also, these are great new patients. So this is a lot different than somebody coming in, let's say, from Facebook, waving their $29 coupon. This is somebody who came in from this awesome event you're doing throughout the community with all the credibility of these great partners, much better new person walking in the door. Last real life example, in one of our clinics, we do laser, and with laser, you can do a lot of different types of care. And one thing we address is fibromyalgia. And so we looked in the community, okay, how do we get this out here? Again, paying a vendor to post it on Facebook, you get a few people here and there, but, tough to do. And again, back to the whole vendor concept and how difficult that is. So we looked in the community and we found that a lot of people with fibromyalgia, they subscribed to this particular yoga class where the instructor was considered like a fibromyalgia guru, and he would show them exercises and stretches and obviously forms of yoga helpful for that condition, because that group tends to move in packs because it is a challenging condition for those people. Obviously, we would likely, most of you, I know we in my clinics would address it a little bit differently, but the community believes you're just kind of stuck with it, you're a victim of it, and it certainly has to be treated carefully with people that are well informed, like they thought this yoga instructor was. So we met with him, developed a relationship. He actually came in as a patient. We actually didn't charge him. Like, hey, what we'd rather do, here's our care plan, it's $3,200. We'd rather do is create a partnership here. I'll donate the care to you at my expense, because there's cost and a lot of effort that goes into this care plan to get you well. But what we really would rather do, rather than taking your money, is let's work together. We've got fibromyalgia patients that we'd love to go do yoga with you. We'd love to be able to speak to your class and disseminate information and just have you refer people back. He's like, man, he goes, I've heard about laser. Chiropractic is really great for this, especially chiropractors that understand fibromyalgia. It's like, this is a great partnership. So this has now been an ongoing partnership with that particular fibromyalgia leader in the community. And that relationship is way more lucrative, way more beneficial to my community, helping my practice radically more than, again, and nothing against Facebook vendors. We use them too, but it doesn't touch community marketing and understanding this law of parlay. So it was really interesting is that Jesus told 12 people, go make disciples of all nations. So they're not just talking about community relationship marketing. He's talking about global. This is a GRM, global relationship marketing. Make disciples of all nations through 12 guys. Well, there's no Facebook, no cell phones, no Google, no internet. They did this through creating relationships in the community where everyone would come and hear the message, and through partnerships all over the globe to now have made the number one religion in the world, Christianity. So we're following the footsteps of people that did a pretty good job with this, standing on the shoulders of giants, as they say. So hopefully you guys take this to heart. This is the message for me for all of the rest of 2022 that will make 2023 and beyond better, easier, and we'll do what we're supposed to do here, which is to save the world. Bless you guys. Love you. Remember, with God, all things are possible. Remember who you are.